Habits. They stick, and sometimes they suck. But what if there was a way you could easily unpack the bad ones and start doing the good ones? Well, today I'm going to give you a technique to do just that. Hello my friend, I'm Edward Terry and I'm your personal success coach on a mission to help you release the untapped potential inside you and live the life of your dreams. Now first off, let's look at the science bit. Habits have been understood for a long time and you've probably heard me mention it in previous videos in terms of the thoughts lead to emotions, leads to actions, leads to results. Well, for habits, we redefine this slightly, but it's the same 4 steps. We have cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue is essentially a precursor to thoughts, as it's an external stimuli which causes the process to start. And since the brain is wired to make your life as comfortable as it can, these cycles become automatic and therefore habitual. Smoking is a classic bad habit and it goes something like this. You're stressed, cue. You crave a cigarette, craving. You reach for and have a cigarette, response. You feel much better, reward. The craving could equally be for chocolate, alcohol, or any vice of your choosing. The loop self-perpetuates and locks in the circuit. The reward validates the craving, the results validate the feelings, and the brain approves the habit cycle as beneficial to your comfort and locks it into your subconscious to run on autopilot whenever the cue comes along. And that's why it's so hard to break. You're up against your subconscious, which has decided it knows what's best for you, even if you consciously know that it's not. It's David and Goliath, and you're David, and you desperately need a slingshot, and that's where this video comes in. Now, let's talk about cues. Cues come in a wide variety of forms, from smells to feelings, like a phone vibrating in your pocket, to sounds in the environment. But time and location are the biggest 2 cues for most habit cycles. Do you always find yourself doing something at a certain time of the day, or do you always do something in a specific place? To cue good habits, one of the best ways to do this is through implementation intentions and coping plans, which we discussed in the last video, which I'll link up here. At the heart of the implementation is the defined clarity of when and where, the time and location, which we can summarize as the environment. And the environment is the most effective thing you have to control a habit, both good and bad. How much time you spend on social media is a bad habit that many relate to. Losing hours scrolling, reading, watching, comparing. And the environment of social media is designed to keep you in that loop. One image leads to the next, one story autoplays after the last. The feed is endless, always adding more things on the end, and you trade your time, well, your life, for what? But by changing the environment, you can break the cycle. By hacking the cue, you can short circuit the craving. Do you have notifications switched on for social media? Switch them off. You get to choose when you want to spend your mindless time and not be cued every few moments and feel the craving well up inside you. FOMO. Do you need the platform installed on your phone? No. Delete it, or use an activity blocker so you can only access them at certain times of the day. And many devices have this feature built in today. And I'm not saying don't spend time there, but just make sure it's a conscious choice and not an unconscious habit. Now, some things are relatively easy to hack, though some require rewriting your implementation intentions, or plan A, and coping plans, your plan Bs. If you wanted to hack the stress cigarette loop, for example, you might identify that it's not the cigarette that actually helps, because physiologically it doesn't, and I'll explain why in a minute, but instead it's the break that you experience when you have that cigarette. So why are cigarettes bad for you? Well, here's a quick version. Nicotine is a poison, a paralytic, and a stimulant. Within moments of the initial inhalation, nicotine is stimulating pleasure centers in the brain, the same centers which are activated by cocaine. Nicotine then biochemically alerts the liver to release sugar into the bloodstream. The elevated blood sugar brings a physical uplift. And simultaneously, nicotine is stimulating the nervous system, causing the release of adrenaline into the body. Now, adrenaline produces increased heart rate and respiration, which actually increases the feelings of tension and being wired. Nicotine also stimulates the brain to release dopamine, which is associated with pleasurable feelings. This creates its own craving in the body. When the level of nicotine in the body drops too much, the dopamine centers panic and create a craving for another cigarette, which can lead to addiction. You start to feel stressed, which is the opposite of what you want. But when you have a cigarette, you feel relaxed because your dopamine fires up and you feed the addiction. Cue, craving, response, reward. Nicotine also affects neurotransmission, the signals that flow between the nerve endings. Nicotine reverses the warning signal that the body has been exposed to stress into the opposite signal that the body is more relaxed. It messes with your neurochemistry to hide the stress it's putting on your system. But why do you think they're good? Well, when you take a break, the first few breaths you take of that cigarette are long and deep. Within 7 seconds, the inhalation of the deep breath has increased the flow of blood and oxygen to the heart, and the body relaxes. It's the breath that does the trick. But because you're there with a cigarette in your hand, your brain links the reward with the wrong thing. Step away from the cue, being stressed, and follow a plan A. For example, don't pick up the cigarettes. Just take a few minutes break and breathe deeply. You can count slowly to 10 as you do. And this 10 deep breaths exercise is a great and immediate relaxant which you can use anytime and anywhere. Now let's talk about food. If you're trying to be more healthy, unhealthy snacking is a habit you need to stop. Think about where your snacks are located compared to your healthy food. I'll bet they're in easy to reach places, like on the countertop at home, but you need to open a cupboard or refrigerator to get to the healthy stuff. Am I right? Or they're easily available at work. Or do you habitually carry something with you just in case? Switch out the environment. Put the snacks away or get rid of them altogether and carry healthy options with you, like a bag of nuts. More often than not, aside from the environmental cue of arriving home and using bad food as a comfort reward, snacking is down to poor eating generally, not getting enough of the required proteins, carbohydrates, and good fats you need in the right amounts. In my experience, protein is the biggest swing factor here. When I regularly worked out 2 to 3 times a week, I ate more protein generally, and I never had a craving for chocolate or junk food. I had to choose to eat it. But when I slack off from regular exercise or don't follow my plan A and plan B eating intentions, I eat less good things and more bad things. My body starts to crave the bad things. The bad things stimulate the happy places in the mind, and the subconscious starts to develop negative habit loops. I noticed recently that I started to slide off track here, and as I mentioned before, I restarted a regular training program at a local gym, and I've started tracking my food intake. It's been eye-opening. What I thought wasn't so bad has been, in a few cases, a shockingly poor food choice, and this awareness has helped break the cue, craving, response and reward cycle. That pecan pie in the patisserie maxes out my macros really quickly, so it's off the menu, even if it only crept in occasionally. Wink wink. I've also stopped buying chocolate at home, so there are no unhealthy snacks at hand, and I've increased my protein intake and the sweet cravings are fading away, and I'm only 10 days into the new plan. Now that's cool. Health is my top priority, so I made new plan A and Bs to go along with my up-leveled health program. My overall energy has soared and I feel more positive consistently again. Are you doing anything to up-level your energy game, or would you like to know more about this? Comment below and let me know. And now if you're enjoying this video, remember to click the like button. Likes are free and they help YouTube recommend this content to other people who could benefit from it too. You'll be paying it forward just by clicking like. Do it now. Go on. Thanks. Now, these are a couple of examples, but you get the idea. First, you identify the habit. Understand what's going on in reality. Measure or research the elements of it, such as the physiological effect of smoking or the real impact of the food that we eat in these two examples. This understanding helps define the next step, which is to set your implementation intention, your plan A. For bad habits, the easiest way to do this is to change the environment. And for good habits, you define it. You define the environment. In essence, we want to make it harder to follow bad habits and easier to adopt new ones. Another example for working out is to prepare your gym kit beforehand and leave it ready so it creates a cue to work out. Is it there when you wake up? Is it in the car before you leave work? Or do you go to bed with your running kit on so you go for a run before anything else in the morning? What bad habit can you review and put in a new implementation intention for so that you can break that bad habit for good? Or which good habit are you going to start implementing today? Comment below and let me know. Now, there are more nuances to habits, and if you'd like me to go deeper, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from too, because I enjoy reading and replying to your comments, and I really do appreciate the community we're growing here. Thank you for being you and for showing up to level up your life with me. Now, this video will tell you 7 positive habits you should develop to be successful. You should watch it next. And until next time, my friend, remember to live your light. As it says, get out! Oh, that's easy for you to say.